My name is Joshua Asamoah. I am a senior meteorologist at the Ghana Meteorological Agency, and I'm stationed at the Central Analysis and Forecast Office. So today I will attempt to answer the question that was posed on the Let's Talk Weather platform, which is on the interpretation of the impact-based forecast that is sent out every day. So what actually necessitated the issuance of the impact-based forecast is that we actually have two kinds of forecasts, which is one, the hazard-based forecast, and this kind of forecast looks at the weather condition that we're expecting in an area. And so if it's wind, rainfall, temperature, whether high or low temperatures, the hazard-based forecast will take care of this kind of information. But we saw that this kind of forecast had some lags and it was not really informing proper decisions. And so it was necessary to bring the impact-based forecast, which will help in taking better decisions and will help people to prepare more adequately before the events occur. And so we're moving from what the weather will be to what the weather will do. So hazard-based forecast looks at what the weather will be. Impact-based forecast looks at what the weather will do. In impact-based forecast, we are looking at the hazard itself as a component. So you have the hazard covered as one component. There's another component which is the exposure. That is the things that are exposed to the hazard that is approaching. So if it is rainfall that is coming to your area, we are looking at schools, hospitals, the number of people who are living in the area who are exposed to this rainfall condition that we're expecting. We also look at the vulnerability of the area, how vulnerable the people are. And then the last aspect is the coping capacity, the ability of the area to cope with the kind of weather that we are expecting. So all these 3 or 4 elements are put together to design the impact-based forecast. So in the end, we are able to recommend an action for anybody who uses this information. And it is color-coded, so you can easily interpret this kind of forecast. There are some basic elements that you see on any impact-based forecast. One of them is the nowcasting risk. And for nowcasting risk, what we mean is that we are telling you what each color means. So if your area has no color at all, it means that you have no risk of any weather element in the area. If it is shaded green, it means there's a low risk. What it means is that the weather condition that we expected in your area has a very low likelihood of causing any harm to the area, or just have some minor disruption of activities in the area. When it is shaded yellow, then the risk is increasing. So we are creating that awareness in the area where we expect that weather condition to occur. And so you have some disruption of your activities within the area, and it is necessary to take some actions. But when the risk increases, then it moves to orange, which is be prepared. So the weather condition that we're expecting with that color code has the potential of disrupting your activities, major disruptions in the activities in the area. And so you need to prepare for the weather condition that we're expecting in that particular area. And the worst case scenario is when we use red, which is take action. In that case, you don't have time to prepare, but you need to take necessary actions to avert the danger that is associated with the weather condition that we are expecting in the area. So that's the color code for the nowcasting risk. And there's the weather icons. This is where we tell you the kind of weather that we're expecting in the area. So if it is rainfall, you see the rain icon. If it is wind, you see the wind icon. If it is dust, especially during the harmattan, you see the dust icon. And when we are expecting hail, we'll put the hail icon also there. And the last one is the risk matrix. So risk matrix is actually where the confusion comes. We have seen the different colors. We're also seeing some letters in the risk matrix. So when you see a risk matrix, there are 2 things you can do. If you see D has 2 components. One of them is the likelihood, the other is the impact. So if you move towards the left, that will be a medium likelihood. If you move down, that will be a low impact. So what it means is that when you see D, in your area, there's a medium likelihood of a low impact weather happening in your area. And so a 40 to 60% chance that you have a low impact weather occurring in that area that is shaded with a D. So it means that the chance that the event will occur is high or medium, that's 40 to 60. But when the event happens, it will have a very low impact on the area. And so you not really need to take any necessary actions to avert any danger, because there's no danger expected in that area. But when you see a color like orange with a test like H, what we mean is that there's a high possibility of you having that weather condition that is stated in the area. And when the weather occurs, it will have a medium impact on the area. Medium impact means that it can disrupt your activities in the area, can pose some minor threat to life and property in the area. And so in that case, you need to prepare for the weather condition that we are expecting. The worst case scenario is when you see I in the area. I means there's a high possibility of the event occurring and then a high impact as well. So I is the worst case scenario. Once you see that, you need to take action to avert the danger associated with the conditions that we have stated. So that's what you should know in any impact-based forecast that you receive. We have different kinds of impact-based forecasts: 24-hour forecast, the outlooks, and then the weather warnings. For purpose of this explanation, I'll just use the two: the 24-hour forecast and then the weather warnings. So 24-hour forecast, you see, if it's morning forecast, you see the first one being morning, the second one will be afternoon, the last one will be evening. So what we want to do is break the day down into 3 sections, 6 hours each. So the first one will tell you the conditions in the first 6 hours of the forecast. The second one will tell you the conditions in the second 6 hours of the forecast. And then the last one will give you the last 6 hours of the forecast. So if you pick this forecast, for instance, for the first 6 hours, we're just expecting a low likelihood of a low impact weather occurring within parts of the upper east and northeast region and the parts of the OT, northern and Volta regions. If you go to the evening, we're expecting that the upper western portions will have a low likelihood of a low impact weather occurring. So there was no high possibility of any event occurring on this day. That's today. It means that the chance of us getting any event is very low. And when that weather condition happens to, the impact is also very low. And so anywhere in the country where we expect rainfall, the color is green, which means that there's a low risk for the entire country. All the other areas have blank. It means that there's no risk at all for those areas. So if you find yourself in these areas, it means you can go about your activities normally without any worry or cause for alarm. Areas that have the chance of getting rainfall to have a very low risk, and so you should not be worried. But if you pick the weather warning that is here, you can see that there are different colors here. There's green, there's yellow, and there's orange. So if you pick the upper western portions, the green there means there's a low risk. Low risk, but the letter in there is D. So it means that the chance of that event happening is medium. If you pick the southwestern portions, the color is yellow, and the test in there is E. E means that there's a medium likelihood of a medium impact weather occurring. Whilst if you pick the other parts of the country, we have the orange color there. What it means is that there's a high possibility of that area getting a medium impact weather. So if you pick this weather warning, the area that will be of the highest concern will be the area shaded in orange, because we are telling them to prepare for the weather conditions in there, which is rainfall and strong wind. If you pick the second area of concern, that will be the southwestern portion. That's the yellow color area, which means we are creating the awareness in that area. And for that places, we're expecting strong winds and rainfall. The least area to be affected is the upper western portion, the savanna regions, which is shaded green, which means there's a low risk in that area. And we're expecting some windy conditions and rainfall as well in these areas. So this is what you should know when you pick a weather warning or a 24-hour impact-based forecast. The difference in the weather warnings and the other products is that the weather warning comes with the areas and the times to be affected. And so if you come down here, you will see this areas to be affected and then the valid time that we expect. So we'll list all the areas, whether it is specific cities, towns, or regions. We'll state them there and state the time that we expect the event to occur. This is not the duration for the event, but the time that we expect that within that range, the event should get to the area. And so we have T plus 1 hour, T plus 2 hours, T plus 3 hours, and the outlook. We also define T here. So for each station, T will be defined. It could be different for all of them, it could be the same for all of them. But once it is defined, the T here, you just add 1 hour to that one. So if you pick the first one, the upper east, northeast, Hohoija second areas, the T is 1400, which is 2 p.m. T plus 1 will be from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. So the area we're expecting a high possibility of a medium impact weather in that first 1 hour. In 2 hours time, that will reduce from high possibility to medium probability. In 3 hours time, the probability reduces from medium to low. And for the outlook, we're expecting a low likelihood and a low impact. If you pick another one, for instance, Koforidua, Santibekwa, and Koko area, the T is 1600, which is 4 p.m. So T plus 1 hour will be from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. T plus 2 hours will be from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. T plus 3 hours will be from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. So this will give you the propagation of the storm or whatever weather condition that we're expecting in that range we are expecting it. So at least this will give you a breakdown of how the weather will fare within that period, whether it's going to intensify, whether it's going to weaken as the time goes by. But if the area has no shading at all, then it means that within that period, we don't expect anything to occur. There are times that the first 2 could be blank. It means that you have about 2 hours to move around and do your things. If you want to go and buy something outside, you have that time to go and get them. But as soon as you start seeing the shadings in the area, it means that the weather conditions will start happening in that particular area. So this is impact-based forecast issued by the Ghana Meteorological Agency. Thank you.